Okay, I tell you how I left the left and how it's relevant with you, Kendall, right? So, Ruby, who I used to work with, Ruby Reed, right? She got hit with the forensic audit from the institution. Okay, so I used to be Regional Arts Development Fund of Redcliffe, Youth Arts Representative, for 5 years, and I got into the CPQLD through that. So Ruby couldn't get beaten by anybody, okay? Until they worked out that, and this probably relates to Kendall, right? And this relates to everybody here, including the police, and the Coast Guard, the surf lifesavers, okay? You are, because I used to be in the RADF, I understand the way that government funding works in Queensland. If Kendall is taking money out of the different pots, so like when I was at Robert Skelton's office, it was the same as Jason Hunt's office. There's all of these there's all of these like government funded grants and stuff like that that exist and that come up all the time, right? Like the gambling machine ones and stuff. So Rob Skelton gave out a lot of arts grants to the Skinners. My uncle yesterday warned me about the Skinners when he saw this dude stabbing me. I was like, that guy's a Skinner. He's like, makes sense. That's strange timing. But my point is, if you contact me and ask me for a grant, and I'm a Queensland government grants officer like I was when I was young, you lay out like the scope of what you're working on, your project, then I look at the project, right? And then if I give you the money, that money has to go specifically to things only within that scope. So what happens in Queensland, like in corrupt places, like this is why I mean it's like Africa, and I'm not being racist, is in Africa, everyone's cool until you say, Kendall Morton, can we do a forensic audit of your books? David Christofouli, can we do a forensic audit of your books? Can we have a look at the spending and make sure that you're not taking money from one grant area and putting it into another project? Because that is institutional fraud, and that's what they got Ruby on. Because if you're given money for like a Belt and Road initiative and it's gone to something else. So people are always trying to work out about the accounting with the fucking the machines and stuff, the Sunshine Coast ticketing machines for the cars, right? They don't publicly disclose it, and there's no forensic accounting. So this is how we clean it up, right? Because all of these people that are acting this way, if they're a part of a NGO, right? So are Surf Lifesavers of Australia allowed to investigate? Do they have investigative powers like a police agency? Do you have the same power on the beach as I would have as a military policeman on an installation or a security installation? The answer is no. You're a fucking lifeguard, man. Okay? So if the Surf Lifesavers of Queensland are using government federally assigned resources to illegally investigate someone because there's police that are a part of the organization that have compromised the Surf Lifesavers because they've come in and they've changed the agenda. Right? It's not an investigative body. And that's a problem with Australia. And this is why everyone has to get out and they can't do business here. America has to not do business, right? So Dan Purdy doesn't understand this, right? He's a vet, right? But he thinks that the Australian military are a force that are separate from America. He doesn't understand like the Curtin, the thing that Curtin signed in 1942, which made Australia subordinate to America militarily. And we're set up as an army to plug in to the US apparatus and to be utilized by the US apparatus. And so is Britain too, like to a large degree. And Britain's no longer a superpower. It hasn't been an empire for ages, man. We lost. That was like when all the stuff that happened in Oman and stuff. So the way you beat all of the police, right, is you look at the police that are coming after me and you look how much they've spent. Okay, where has the money that they've spent coming after me come from? Okay, what's happened is it comes from particular grants. So the police get funding from different grants. So they've got a grant, and then what they've done is they've been taking money from those grants and then using that money to cover the overtime, to cover the investigation cost with me. So if we want to take down the command, you go to the accountant and you have a look at you do a forensic accountant. You just do a fucking what would you call it, like a forensic review, accounting review. Then what we're looking at is we're looking at the grants, okay, and then we're looking at where those grants are feeding into. So if any of the monies that, from a grants perspective in Queensland, because I know Ruby, Glenda Highland Reid, Sophie and Kendall Morton, right? Glenda Highland Reid, she lost her career because of this. And this is why the lefties in the Cerebral Palsy League don't like me, because I think I accidentally told them this. I stopped losing credibility, but I stopped losing like belief in them because I could understand what was happening. So in the end, I was getting put out the front as bait by Ruby when she was getting all these different grants from different places and doing all these huge pie in the sky mental fucking things that were smart in some ways, but they're also, she was not stable in many of the ways. She was very dictatorial and stuff. She went down because when they did the forensic accounting, even if somebody who was as clean as her, because of the way that she does things. So that's community funding way, and that's why all the politicians have to do things. That's how they get their money. So as I said before, if they've come after me, let's do a forensic accounting review and have a look at how much the lifesaver resources have been used to defame a public figure here. I mean, you guys have been involved in $100 million worth of defamation with me here. It's like at least $100 million what they've done to me. And everybody here wants to be the last person. They keep on, I want to put myself on the list. So they needed authorization and they needed the war chest to come after me because they knew I did nothing wrong. So they have to chip away at me and they'd have to use like tactical use of their resources and shit. But they've been coming after me more aggressively and trying to recoup money from me, right? Trying to get me busted to recoup. What's that for? That means that the institutions have said to them, look, you've just spent way too much money going after this dude. If you don't get a result, somebody here in the Caloundra Command is going to be left with the bill. And then that's going to end their superannuation. They're going to be pensioned out. So if we want, so federal members of parliament, let's have a look. Robert Skelton, let's have a look at his, the way that he utilized funding, okay, when he was in power. Let's have a look at how all of these MPs allot grant money that they're given, right? Or that they give out, right? Let's see then if they are giving out grants preferentially to people when you're not supposed to, because I went through the Queensland government training to become the Regional Arts Development Fund of Queensland Youth Arts Representative for Redcliffe and Moreton Bay region between 1998 and 2004. So I couldn't preferentially give out stuff to people that I knew, and they fucking were very tight on that. They made sure that I couldn't do anything like that, and I didn't do anything like that. I gave out arts grants to people for 5 years. I was a person who signed. Okay. So we need to do, if we did forensic accounting, what we would come up with is the answer is fraud, institutional fraud. Like if an accountant found it, an accountant would be like calling the CEO and the CFO, like call the CFO and CEO, look, there's like $500,000 missing. Why? Because of this one case? Did they resolve it? No. What are they asking for? Even more. Where have they taken the funds from? Well, they've taken it from this SAFE initiative and this initiative because they said that he was this, and because of his ethnicity, and because they were able to fucking create this profile about him, but it was defamatory. So if you're the surf lifesavers of Queensland, a lot of you dudes, I'm sending this to you. If I had a look at your books, right, you're overspending on shit that you're not allowed to spend on. And not only that, I would say that you are, if that's not the case, which it would be in all of the other NGOs and also private companies and corporations in Australia, look at their accounting. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at say Kendall Morton, and let's have a look at her bank accounts and her offshore accounts and how they're connected to her as an MP, or her bank accounts, and how, let's see if any money from any funds that weren't supposed to go to her bank account, like even $5 has made it in there, because if it has, that's institutional fraud, isn't it, Kendall? That's what Glenda Highland Reid got fired from the Cerebral Palsy League of Queensland for doing. So what my suggestion is to denazify the organization like this thing, the Hitler Youth, right? The surf lifesavers are being used like the Hitler Youth. And as I said, anti-Semitic, they're anti everything. And then so you have people that are from overseas, like cops and shit, fucking like infiltrating into the organization. You've got cops and shit infiltrating into the Coast Guard and stuff. It's like, just get away, you scummy pieces of shit. It's like Copland here, and they're always trying to militarize everything and fuck everything up. So if I have a look at how long, when they have a look at the letter of the law on, like, when you're explaining to them how you came after me and why you continued, and then why you made the decision to then take the funding from this particular thing and then network it and then move it between bank accounts or however you did it, right? So you guys are fucking away money into your bank account. So let's do this forensic accounting of Terry Landsberg as a mayor and of his office and on all of the machines here on the Sunshine Coast, the fucking ticketing machines. Let's do that. Will you survive that? The answer is they won't survive it, Anthony Albanese. So you have to stop these people from abusing their power. And this is the next step. The next step is an investigation into finances, fucking under the microscope, forensic accounting. So in Vietnam, after knowing that I was a youth arts representative and doing the grants, Rod got me to go through all of the books and stuff. And I found fake personnel and all that type of stuff, right? Because I was Regional Arts Development Fund of Queensland, trained by the Queensland state government, and they're fucking very professional. the Queensland state government that I was trained by were very professional. Then I went away for 15 years and it was like staffed by imbeciles, you know. When I left, it was like there's people like Judge Janine Pirro in charge when I fucking left. And then I come back and it's like Idiocracy, the Mike Judge movie. But that's the answer. Liberal National Party. Let's have a look at your finances. ALP, finances, accounting, okay? Independent forensic, so outside. So if the ALP audited the LNP, forensic accounting, we did a legal review, accounting review, right? So the same with the magistrates court and all these guys. You need to get your funding from somewhere. So if you've lied anywhere along the way to secure the funding to come after me, then that whatever that money is that you put your name to acquiring, you are responsible for paying that back to the authorities and culpable for that fraud. Okay. I want you to understand that, Scott Howison and all these cops, when you did this in the first place, I was like, dudes, like Glenda got fucking done just for like taking the funds from like Cascade Soul music program and putting it to Cascade Place, or Cascade Place to Cascade Soul. I mean, just a small maneuver like that. If I did a forensic accounting of all of these MPs, man, their private lives and how their private lives are crossing over into their professional lives, and how the monies that you're receiving, where are they coming? Where are they going to? Where are they coming from? We know where they're coming from. They're coming from federal grants. Where are they going to? Are they falling into state politicians' private bank accounts? Is there any money? Is there even $1 coming from those different funding places, and they're ending up in places where they shouldn't, like in state members of parliament's bank accounts? Because if so, that's institutional fraud. And I would say that it's so widespread that if you took one of them down, they'd all fall. Okay? That's a good thing about accounting, and that's what I learned even before I got involved in accounting for missing people.